Hello, now that the fourth week of class is over, I again took some time to reflect upon what we had on our minds. This week we read Sigmund Freud's Civilization and its Discontents, and in this text Freud describes how the suppression of our primal desires, which are primarily, as we know, mainly of sexual and violent nature, are necessary to build higher forms of culture. But at the same time, there is a trade-off, as the frustration of sacrificing our individual desires for the common good grows larger and larger until this frustration erupts in an excess of violence. Freud famously described human consciousness as consisting of the id on the bottom, so the id is where our primal instincts are located. Then we go one story up to the ego, where our consciousness, our sense of self is located. And then on the top floor, the superego, that's where the voices of our parents, our ancestors, our gods, everyone who's trying to lead us on the right path are located above us. Freud nevertheless also describes how the id in the basement, so to say, and the superego on the top floor can enter an unholy alliance together. And he, for example, sees religion and the concept of universal love as one of these potential unholy alliances, because he diagnoses that, for example, when Christianity or another religion comes up with a concept like universal love, usually this universal love paradoxically only applies to the followers of the religion, and if you're not part of the tribe, you're excluded from this universal love paradoxically. And he also gives other examples for other forms of power, such as the communist government and others. What we also diagnosed Freud with, though, is that he has a very deep-seated suspicion with what he calls the oceanic feeling. So religiosity in general, meaning the kind of feeling of deep connection with others and the universe. And this kind of lack of a belief that something like this is possible, so the feeling of being connected, that there's a positive outcome when you take back your ego or enter a state of ego death through meditation or yoga and all of these things where you kind of try to enter or access older states of the mental apparatus, whereas he kind of says that this might be possible and might be have positive outcomes. He deeply distrusts anything oceanic. And this, as we talked about, might be a source of a very strong feeling of discontent in the writer himself, and can lead him down on a path of megalomania, madness, and destruction. Nevertheless, an interesting text to read.